Welcome back, deep divers. So, Valentine's Day, right? Everyone knows the basics, but I bet there's a lot more to it than we think.
Oh, definitely. It's one of those holidays that seems simple on the surface, but then you start digging deeper and realize how complex and fascinating it really is.
Exactly. So, we've got a ton of research here, mostly from the Valentine's Day Wikipedia page, our mission to uncover the real story.
The origins, the legends, the global customs, even some of the controversies.
Buckle up. It's going to be a wild ride.
It really is remarkable how this day, Valentine's Day, has become this global phenomenon.
Yeah.
And yet so much of it is shrouded in mystery.
Okay, so first things first, who was Saint Valentine?
Well, that's part of the mystery.
Right, like I was reading, and
There isn't just one.
there are multiple Valentines.
There's Valentine of Rome, a priest, Valentine of Tournai, a bishop, and even a third Valentine who, as far as we know, was martyred in Africa.
Wow, okay, talk about a historical puzzle.
It's like trying to piece together a story with missing pieces.
And to make things even more complicated, the lack of clear information seems to have just fueled all these legends that surround St. Valentine.
It's true. It's almost as if the real St. Valentine is a composite figure, woven together from all these different stories and legends.
So let's talk about those stories. What are some of the most popular legends about St. Valentine?
Well, one of the most enduring ones claims that he was imprisoned during a Roman Empire
Okay, why? What did he do?
because he was secretly performing weddings for soldiers.
Secret weddings. That sounds kind of romantic.
It was. Emperor Claudius II, he had actually forbidden soldiers from getting married. He thought it made them less effective in battle.
Oh, so Valentine was kind of a rebel then.
You could say that. He was defying the emperor in the name of love.
Interesting. Okay, what else? I think I remember something about restoring sight to his jailer's daughter, too.
Yes, that's another famous one. The legend says that Valentine, while he was imprisoned, befriended the jailer's daughter, who happened to be blind. And somehow, either through his faith, maybe some medical knowledge, we don't know for sure, he miraculously restored her sight.
Wow.
It's a powerful story, right?
Yeah, it's a really powerful story, and it kind of reinforces his image as a symbol of love and compassion.
Exactly.
Okay, so secret weddings, miraculous healing, and of course we can't forget about the first Valentine, the actual message.
Oh, yes.
Didn't he send a note to his beloved from prison, signing it, "Your Valentine"?
That's how the story goes. Yeah, it's such a charming detail.
Right, it just adds this whole other layer to his story.
It's easy to see why St. Valentine captured imaginations for centuries.
So we've got this figure from the 3rd century who somehow becomes this global icon for love and romance. But how did that happen?
That's the big question. And honestly, it's where things get even more interesting. Some scholars believe we can trace the earliest link back to Geoffrey Chaucer.
Chaucer, the poet.
Yes. His poem, Parliament of Fowls, was written in 1382, and in it he describes birds choosing their mates on Valentine's Day.
Ah, so Chaucer was the original matchmaker.
Well, maybe, but it's one of the first literary references we have connecting the day with romantic love.
Fascinating. Okay, I also came across something called the Charter of the Court of Love in France around the year 1400. Have you heard of this?
Oh, yes. That charter actually describes a grand Valentine's Day event.
An event? Like what kind of event?
A big one. It was hosted by Charles VI of France. Imagine feasts, love poetry contests. Even they had ruling on lovers' disputes.
Wait, really? Rulings? So like a Valentine's Day court?
Exactly. It really shows how Valentine's Day was evolving into a more secular celebration of love and chivalry.
Wow, that's incredible. Okay, I have to ask, are there any surviving Valentine's Day messages from that time period? Like, did they write each other love letters?
We do have some. Charles, Duke of Orleans, he wrote this beautiful rondeau to his wife.
Oh, wow, really?
Yeah, while he was imprisoned in the Tower of London.
After the Battle of Agincourt, right?
That's right. It's incredibly poignant, full of longing. It shows how that association with romantic expression, it was already taking root.
It's amazing to think that expressions of love from centuries ago, they actually paved the way for the Valentine's Day traditions we know today. Although it's not just love letters anymore, is it?
Not at all.
There's a whole industry built around this day now.
Exactly. To understand how we got from love letters to heart-shaped everything, well, we need to fast forward a bit.
To the Victorians, right. I was reading about them.
Yes, the Victorian era, that's where mass production and commercialization really enter the picture.
Okay, makes sense. They loved a good celebration, didn't they?
They did.
And this is when we see those elaborate Valentine's Day cards, right?
Yes, and the rise of Esther Howland.
Oh, yeah, the mother of the American Valentine, right?
That's her. In the mid-1800s, she introduced mass-produced cards to the U.S., inspired by an English card she'd received.
I love that. And they were popular.
Extremely popular, those intricate lace-trimmed cards. Everyone wanted them. She revolutionized how we express love on Valentine's Day.
So basically, cheaper postage, the printing press. It all led to this Valentine's Day boom.
It really did. And once those factories started churning out cards, the commercialization was pretty much inevitable.
It's like a chain reaction, right? One thing leads to another.
Precisely. The Victorians, they really set the stage for the modern Valentine's Day industry with all the candies, flowers, those lavish gifts we see today.
Oh, and we can't forget the heart-shaped boxes of chocolates.
Of course not. Those are iconic.
Did those come about in the Victorian era, too?
They did, introduced by Cadbury in 1868, actually.
That's fascinating. From secret handwritten notes to mass-produced declarations of love, talk about a journey.
It really highlights how culture and commerce, they can shape our traditions in such profound ways.
So we've explored the origins, the legends, the commercialization, but what about Valentine's Day around the world? I mean, it can't be all roses and chocolates everywhere, right?
Definitely not. Valentine's Day is celebrated in so many different ways, reflecting all sorts of unique cultural values and beliefs.
Okay, that's what I want to hear about. So where should we start our global Valentine's Day tour? I'm ready for this global tour. Where should we head first?
How about Latin America? They've got some interesting takes on Valentine's Day.
Okay, like what?
Well, in a lot of Latin American countries, Valentine's Day, it's not just about romantic love.
It's not.
No, it's also about celebrating love for friends and family.
Oh, interesting.
Yeah, so they call it things like Dia de los Enamorados or Dia del Amor y la Amistad,
Which means,
Day of Lovers or Love and Friendship Day.
I like that. It's more inclusive, you know?
It is. It takes some of the pressure off, too.
For sure. Okay, what about those amigo secreto traditions I've heard about? Aren't those popular in some countries?
Yeah, Amigo Secreto or Secret Friend, it's like Secret Santa, but for Valentine's Day.
Makes sense.
It's big in places like Mexico, Colombia, Venezuela.
So how does it work?
Basically, you draw names and give a surprise gift to your assigned secret friend.
Sounds like a fun way to celebrate.
It is. Everyone gets a Valentine.
Okay, so we've covered Latin America. What about Valentine's Day in Europe?
Europe's had a whole mix of traditions, some pretty unique ones, too.
Uh-oh. Like what?
Well, for example, in Ireland, people often make pilgrimages.
Pilgrimages.
Yeah, to a church in Dublin, the Whitefriars Street Carmelite Church.
Why that church?
It holds relics of Saint Valentine.
Wow, so they're connecting back to the origins of the holiday.
Exactly. It's a blend of faith and, well, the hope for finding true love.
Okay, I like that. What about other countries in Europe? Any interesting ones?
Let's see. Oh, in Slovenia, Saint Valentine is linked to the arrival of spring.
Spring? Really?
Yeah, they have a saying, Saint Valentine brings the keys of roots. It signifies the time when nature starts to wake up.
So it's less about romance and more about new beginnings.
In a way, yes. And they even believe that birds propose to each other on Valentine's Day.
That's cute. Okay, but not every country is so enthusiastic about Valentine's Day, right?
True. Some places have actually banned or restricted it.
Really? Why?
It often comes down to cultural or religious reasons.
Makes sense, I guess. Different cultures, different values.
Exactly. Like in parts of India, groups like Shiv Sena see Valentine's Day as this Western import that threatens their traditions.
So they see it as a clash of cultures.
Yeah, and they've even organized protests and boycotts of the holiday.
It's interesting how a seemingly harmless holiday can spark such strong reactions.
It shows how deeply intertwined culture and tradition are, and how sensitive those issues can be.
Yeah, for sure. Okay, so we've talked about Europe, Latin America. What about Asia? What's Valentine's Day like there?
Asia's got some really fascinating traditions. Japan, in particular, has a unique way of celebrating.
I've heard that. Tell me more.
Well, in Japan, Valentine's Day, it's mostly about women giving chocolate to men.
Oh, interesting. So it's the opposite of what we usually see.
Sort of, yeah. And there's a whole etiquette to it.
Oh, like what?
There's giri choco, which is obligation chocolate.
Obligation chocolate. What's that?
It's chocolate that women gave to male colleagues, bosses, acquaintances.
Ah, so it's more of a social courtesy, not necessarily romantic.
Exactly. It's about maintaining those social bonds.
Okay, I get it. But do they do anything for romantic gifts?
Yes, they have hanmei choco, which translates to true feeling chocolate.
Oh, okay, so there's a distinction.
Yes, hanmei choco is usually homemade or more expensive to show genuine affection.
That's really interesting. So the women give chocolate on Valentine's Day. What about the guys? Do they ever reciprocate?
Absolutely. They have White Day a month later on March 14th.
White Day.
It's when men give gifts back to the women who gave them chocolate.
Ah, so it all balances out.
Exactly. It's all about reciprocity.
What kind of gifts do they give?
Usually white chocolate, but also cookies, jewelry, things like that.
So it's a whole gift-giving system.
It is, and it really reflects their cultural values of harmony and social balance.
It's fascinating how different cultures have these different rituals and customs around love and relationships.
It really is. And yet, there's that common thread, that desire to express affection and appreciation no matter where you are in the world.
That's a nice thought. Okay, so Japan's got their chocolates and White Day. Any other unusual Valentine's Day traditions out there? Wow, Japan really takes it to the next level with Valentine's Day.
They do, but they're not the only ones with unique traditions. Have you heard about South Korea's approach?
I think so, but remind me.
Okay, well, they've basically turned February into a whole month-long celebration of love.
A whole month? Seriously?
Yeah, it's like a Valentine's Day extravaganza.
I need details. What exactly do they do for a whole month?
They have all these special love days, each with its own theme.
Oh, I see. So it's not just one day. It's like a series of romantic holidays.
Right, and they don't just celebrate Valentine's Day and White Day like Japan. They also have things like Rose Day in May, Kiss Day in June, even Hug Day in December.
Wow, okay, that's impressive. They really go all out. I guess that makes sense, though, considering how popular K-dramas and romantic comedies are over there. It seems like they really embrace romantic expression.
Definitely. But there's one love day that's a little different. Have you heard of Black Day?
Black Day, that doesn't sound very romantic.
It's not really. It's on April 14th, and it's for all the singles who didn't receive gifts on Valentine's Day or White Day.
Oh, okay, so it's like the anti-Valentine's Day.
Kinda. Everyone gets together and eats jjangmyeon, which is like these black bean noodles.
Interesting choice.
It's supposed to be a way to like playfully commiserate over being single, turn heartbreak into a shared experience.
I like that idea, actually. It takes the pressure off and makes it more about fun and friendship. It shows that even those who aren't in a relationship can still find a sense of belonging on Valentine's Day.
Absolutely. It's all about finding connection, no matter what your relationship status is.
Exactly. Speaking of different perspectives, though, I think it's important to acknowledge that not everyone sees Valentine's Day in a positive light.
Oh, definitely. For some, it's not all hearts and flowers.
Right. It's easy to get caught up in the excitement and forget that for some people, Valentine's Day can actually be kind of a tough day.
Yeah, some people feel pressure to spend a lot of money, find the perfect gift, or plan some grand romantic gesture.
And then there's the whole commercialization aspect.
Absolutely. It can feel very manufactured and driven by marketing, which takes away from the genuine sentiment.
Right. Plus, as we talked about earlier, some people have religion or cultural objections to Valentine's Day. They might see it as a threat to their own traditions and values.
Exactly. It's important to remember that there are many different perspectives on this holiday, and not all of them are positive.
I think this deep dive has really highlighted that. Valentine's Day is a lot more complex than it might seem at first glance.
It really is. It's a fascinating blend of history, religion, romance, culture, even politics and economics.
It's amazing how one day can hold so much meaning and spark so much debate. So as we wrap up this exploration, I'm curious, what do you think the future holds for Valentine's Day?
That's a great question. It's tough to say for sure. I mean, the world is changing so rapidly, especially with technology and social media. How will those things influence how we celebrate love and relationships?
Yeah, that's a good point. I guess only time will tell how traditions evolve and adapt.
But one thing's for sure, the human need for love, connection, and celebrations, that's not going anywhere.
Very true. And that's something worth celebrating no matter how we choose to do it.
I completely agree. Well, it's been fascinating exploring all these different facets of Valentine's Day with you. Hopefully our listeners have enjoyed it as much as we have.
And to all our deep divers out there, thanks for joining us on this Valentine's Day journey. Whether you're celebrating with roses, chocolates, black bean noodles, or just a simple act of kindness, we encourage you to approach this day with an open heart and a curious mind. After all, there's always more to learn about this amazing tapestry of human traditions. Until next time, happy deep diving.